Today, 6Connect CEO Kevin Carbone discusses with Michael Doyle from Virtual Edge the importance of analytics and virtual technology's ability to track and quantify ROI and performance investment.
So welcome, my name is Michael Doyle and I'm with Virtual Edge, and my guest today is Kevin Carbone, who's the CEO of 6Connect. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Michael. Glad to be here.
Well, let's change the subject completely to analytics and measurement, because I think that's one of the things that virtual events really have an opportunity to really shine strongly here and help event producers understand what's going on at their event in a way that a lot of times a physical event really can't do. A trade show or whatever kind of physical event it is. They really, I think, are challenged to really provide the kind of rich data that a virtual event can provide. So maybe we can talk a little bit about analytics and tracking and measurement.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that the measurement, the metrics, the analytics are critically important here, and I think one of the biggest reasons why virtual event technology will continue to propagate and become increasingly important as a marketing tool and marketing vehicle. I've gotten the question a lot about from folks from a variety of backgrounds and industries saying, so it's great, we've had the recession, travel budgets have gotten slashed, the ability to attend physical events has been compromised, so now all of the virtual experience providers are seeing a tremendous uptick in growth. What happens when the economy improves?
Right.
And it's a great question.
If the economy improves,
improves,
I think that's still the question.
That's right. And how long is it going to take?
Right.
So I think it's a legitimate question, but we saw these trends coming before the economy really took a tumble. People and marketers moving from, not completely, but moving ever so increasingly from traditional media vehicles and traditional marketing and advertising to digital, in part because digital is so much more measurable than traditional. You can measure activity on a website, you can measure session time, the standard website measures, you can begin to measure behavior, you can begin to gather the measurements that you can translate into a return on investment. And it's increasingly important for marketers to demonstrate return on investment. That's, that's top of mind for everybody. Virtual experience technology takes that even further. And the ability to measure all of the behavior on the site, measure what people, because it's a rich collaborative environment, because there are so many different tools and applications and ways to interact in virtual experience, you have the opportunity to measure real time what's happening. It's been a big emphasis of ours. We believe as much as the front end experience is important, the back end ability to measure and analyze behavior is just as important. And so not only can you measure how many people came in and registered for your event and visited booths and measure and therefore there's one definition of what a lead is. When you combine that with what did that person download? What did that person view? How long did they view it? Where did they go after they viewed that video? Who did they interact with? How many chats did they have? What were they talking about in the chats? You begin to paint a very robust picture that then says, this is not just a lead. This is a qualified lead, and this is a highly qualified lead, and you get a better sense for where people are on the spectrum of awareness, consideration, purchase. So I think the promise in measurement and analytics for virtual experience technology is way beyond anything else.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really interesting to see, the platform providers like yourself that really take that as a major pillar of differentiation in the marketplace, because it's hard for these event producers. I mean, I've been involved in the web for a long time, and I know how important analytics are, but I'm not good at analytics, and I never will be. I wish I was that type of person, but I'm just not. And providing those kinds of tools that the event producer can, doesn't need to hire another analyst to make sense of that data and can really use that data.
Well, that's a good point too, Michael. When we built our first virtual experience, and then even when we came out with our first true software-based virtual experience, we we're relying on using third-party services for placing the calls and doing the metrics. And then it was a very labor-intensive effort to gather the data and analyze the data and then make it available to our clients. And we believed there was a much better, more immediate, more productive way to do this. So we built our own metrics engine specifically tailored to a virtual experience, not a website. And what we also felt was important was to build a dashboard that would allow our customers to log on themselves, take a look real time at what's happening, and access the predefined reports in there and do searches on individual users and aggregate trends. But just as importantly, we also realize that as flexible as that is, there are going to be some clients who are going to say, you know, that still doesn't meet my needs. I need to download that information, and then I will analyze it myself.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for virtual experience providers, for us as an industry, to provide those dual avenues for clients. Give them 90% of what they'll need. Right. And then give them the option to take that information and go the extra 10%.
Sure.
I think that's actually very, very important.
Yeah. And I think, you know, another thing that virtual events have a great opportunity to leverage and differentiate themselves even more from you know, other marketing avenues out there is that ability to identify that hot lead. And you know, all the data shows out there that, you know, how quickly that lead goes from hot to, you know, to cool to cold, and it's it's hours, not, you know, days and weeks, but that ability to, you know, for that company that's exhibiting, or, you know, that person that's got that lead, to be able to follow up with that, you know, person immediately, if, you know, and I'm curious to see, how has the experience been with your clients so far, and, you know, is that capability there, and are they utilizing it, and are they really, getting back to the old question of, are they really following up on the leads, you know?
Right. Well, I think there are two ways to think about that. The traditional way, if we think about the leads coming in, the people register for a virtual event, you suddenly then have a database of leads. You combine that with an analysis of the behavior, and they may say, I want to be contacted, or I don't. And then you have to take that information and run it through a company's lead management system. And so at that point, it's only as good as the lead management system and the company's ability to follow up quickly. I think we've been fortunate to work with several clients who understand the importance of creating that seamless tie and then following up efficiently in the back end. But that's one way. The other is there's an immediacy with virtual experiences and virtual events, particularly if you look at the chat roster and the chat window, and you can engage people right away. If you're in a booth talking with them, you can engage them and get their information, maybe request their V-card, or ask them if they want to follow up with a phone call. We ourselves have gotten leads simply from people being in the experience and reaching out to maybe our folks who happen to be in the experience and saying, you know what, tell me about, I want to talk with you about doing this for my company. Sure. So it's the immediacy and the ability to see who's in the environment that I think helps that rapid lead follow-up. Yeah. But I would also say that there are some customers that do a much better job following up with what they're getting out of the virtual experience than others do.
And can you, at this point, do you know of customers who are really integrating this in with their CRM system, or and to the point where you're getting follow-up, or data from that system showing, you know, what's happened to those leads that once they were in the pipeline?
Yeah, we've got a couple of those in play right now, where we're again, this is new for clients, so we don't have a lot of data to show the proof points here. But to answer your question, yeah, that is happening, and we'll be seeing that over the next couple of months. We'll be seeing some of the early indications of whether that's useful, whether it's been implemented successfully or not.
So that's going to wrap up our session for today. I want to thank you for viewing this and participating with this, Kevin. And we look forward to doing this more often, and we look forward to having Kevin back as a guest. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.